changed his life.
I stand in awe of the power of the God who's our creator. And Terry and I sit here on this program, and the Lord speaks to us, and it's the word of knowledge. It's one of the manifestations of the Holy Spirit.
Something not always godly.
Not always, that's right. That's right. Well, there's a lot of negative voices out there.
Yes, there are. And so how do you know when it's God saying, Perry, I want to speak this to you right now?
And sometimes you don't know. And I think you pray over it and you think about it. And sometimes you just, a lot of times I'll just envision, as you and I are talking here today, I may envision that I'm here talking with God. And how am I supposed to address this issue?
Okay? Realize Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the same for you right now. So let's pray. Let's call on his name and let him do the rest.
Former youth minister and SWAPO parliamentarian Jerry Ekanjo spewed his views against abortion, decriminalization of marijuana, and the LGBTQI community in Parliament this week. Just look at your leaders, Shem.
Yes, lesbian. I'm going to speak it. Here in Namibia, we cannot allow, Comrade Speaker, a male person to insert his penis into the of another male. Is it what we want here? No. We cannot allow. No.
Veteran SWAPO parliamentarian Jerry Ekanjo had a field day ranting and raving in Parliament. His stance was anti-abortion, anti-decriminalization of marijuana, and anti-gay. He had to be called to order, Shem. I spoke to activists.
I think that the Member of Parliament, Mr. Jerry Ekanjo, the things he's saying, I think he should be retired from politics, because what the things that he says is very disrespecting, and as a Namibian gay man, I feel oppressed in my own country, that I'm a Namibian and then I have somebody who is supposed to be a leader and represent to all Namibians, and he stand up in Parliament and say such things. It's very disheartening, it's very disturbing, and I'm very much concerned for our safety and safety and security for our people, so that he cannot use certain kind of languages.
I think the first thing we need to acknowledge that Mr. Jerry Ekanjo has a right to opinion, but it is where he uses that opinion in terms of the platform and the thematic framework of engagement. And what he said in the space of a budget discussion is complete off the radar. It's not like I'm disrespecting him for or disregarding the fact that he doesn't have an opinion. He does have as an individual, but he must also know when he puts up and is in a space of a role of responsibility as a leader. So all his utterances for me is just disheartening is the first thing, for me as a lesbian woman. And secondly, I think he doesn't have any understanding of the realities that we experience as LGBT persons in this country. And I think extended to that, he has no understanding of the status of homosexuality in this country. He has no understanding of the status of same-sex in this country, same-sex marriage in this country. And finally, he has no understanding, nor would he ever in his life give recognition to the human rights of the LGBT person. So that, in that context, I find him problematic with his statement. And then at the same time, by now we should be used to him for always being an anti-gay activist, let me call him that. Because in that capacity, he's speaking not as my leader in this country, but he comes as an individual activist. And I think he needs to be able to reflect. And I'm inviting him to come and have a word with me so that we can school each other on his theory, and I can school him on my life as a lesbian woman, because in no way have I ever been imported. In no way have I ever violated anybody in this country, that to an extent where my liberties of movement and expression is limited because of his utterances. Our lives have been made miserable on the streets. People keep pointing now even worse statements and fingers to us as queer people. And it's because of him, because he just inflamed homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia. And if you understand what homophobia means, it's an irrational fear. So he has a fear of the unknown. Has he ever sat with gay people to be able to chat with them? Has he ever reflected in his own settings where he finds himself? And for him to look around and realize that there are people that you can't really see that are gay. But there are people like Linda's in terms of the expression you can. But I'm inviting him to the core of a discussion. And I'm inviting him to make a proper public statement of his position. But for him to just throw slurs, what if we throw slurs to him about how he conducts himself and how he does disregard other citizens and make them minorities and create inequalities very directly? He is a direct violator of his constitutional oath that he's done to this country. So in no way can I even take him serious with what he's saying. In no way can I even allow that his utterances make me feel badly, because I have a stream of family in this country, whether it is blood related or not, that know me for who I am. So whatever he says and calls me a label that he believes suits his satisfaction of understanding does not define many of us. So he must just retract, sit down, and find himself within the framework of understanding the concerns and realities of the LGBT people. So Mr. Jerry Akanjo, I, Linda Renata Marano-Bowman, invite you to a sit-down coffee where we are able to discuss your concerns regarding LGBTI people, so that I can be able to manifest what our concerns are, so that we can find a middle ground. And I'm inviting you to a dialogue and not a debate. I'm not interested in debates, because everybody, when it comes to homosexuality, want to debate. And then when you engage in a debate, somebody's always right and wrong. But I want a dialogue, because we don't necessarily have to agree, and I respect your view. But come and let's have a conversation. I've been inviting you for years, and until today, you've come back. So I'm inviting you again. Until that day of my last breath, I'll keep extending my invitation to you, because we are Namibians. We are proud, and we are free to be who we are in this country, just as you are practicing all your freedoms. So don't restrict us. We are proudly Namibian. The issues that are touched by Mr. Jerry Akanjo, marijuana, homosexuality, and abortion, are things that are sensitive in discussion. And I also understand where he comes from, because there are ideological and system frameworks that influences his line of thinking, and that has to come from a religious point of view, that comes from a cultural, traditional point of view, but also trying to lament the so-called moral value that he claims is the right way. And I respect people who are not pro-life, and people are pro-choice. So he also has an opinion around it, but he must be very clear to not clump the issues, because these issues carry and marry different realities. But if you look at abortion and homosexuality, there are issues of emotions that you are dealing with here. When it comes to the issues of marijuana and the discussions around legalizing it, that's a complete different discussion. That discussion must be able to level around why do you want to use marijuana? Is it for medical purposes? Is it for recreational purposes? Let that be defined by those that advance that movement. Abortion, this is a right of bodily autonomy. And if he wants to decide on my body, just because he feels men own women's bodies, then surely he's dealing with the wrong space, because by now, 10 years back, the discussion of abortion wasn't as prevalent, because abortion is seen as a private issue. And we know leaders like him and others, how they claim about rape and being in private spaces, yet it is no different, because the circumstance that people find themselves in is defined by the individual. But the system must be able to accommodate, and he has a responsibility to ensure that bodily autonomy and integrity is respected, just like us women respecting the bodily autonomy of men. Because once they make us pregnant, they carry no responsibility, because this body needs to carry it for 9 months, and they have no worries. They come at the end to play along in order to take responsibility. So you must be able to understand the circumstance of that woman's decision, but also understand what does that mean in the future of those decision makers. So, and then obviously I've said very clearly the homosexual issue is the discussion that you and I need to have, Mr. Jerry Akanjo, because surely you find yourself at the wrong side of the transformation, the evolution of things in this life. And I think you should have known better when it came to, you were a youth minister. And I believe that you should have known the concerns that young people are experiencing, the realities that makes and stumbles young people's lives. But now when we find ourselves, maybe it's time that you throw the bait into somebody else so that the movements and the respect of human dignity is attained in this country.
In this day and age where we are right now, I think it's really disheartening that we have to hear that from our Minister of Youth, right? The words that he said, how can we know it comes maybe from a traditional point of view, but I think it's really disheartening for us, the LGBTI community. What does that say about our safety when we walk in the street now? People keep pointing fingers at us, right? We don't know how safe we are right now. Since he said these words in Parliament, what does that say about our right to privacy, our human dignity as LGBTI people in the country? It's really disheartening for us as the LGBTI community that he has to utter such words. His lack of understanding where the LGBTI community is right now, his lack of understanding what kind of strides has been made with regards to the LGBTI community, his lack of understanding our private lives. It has nothing to do with him. Maybe he wants to be us. Maybe he wants to be an LGBTI person. If he wants to, I mean, it's a free life, man. Why doesn't he just do it? Why does he have to ignite homophobia and transphobia and biphobia? I don't think we are safe in this. So I don't know what needs to be done about this, but it's unacceptable. Oh, in regards to the marijuana use, I mean, he needs to differentiate. Is it for medicinal use, or is it just for private consumption? He must know better. Clearly, his lack of understanding in all these fields is lacking, right? And the issue of abortion is a bodily autonomy choice, right? Clearly, he has no understanding of that. He needs to be schooled on that. He needs to come to us. We are going to give him school. If Mr. Jerry Ekanjo wants to be schooled on the issues of homosexuality, the issues of abortion, and the issues of marijuana, he must come to us. We are going to school him.
Every Saturday at 7 p.m., you can stay true to Namibia Sounds with the Valentine's True Music Sessions. Only on 99 FM. Stay tuned. Stay true. There's no wrong way. Valentine's. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
These holidays, choose to be wacky.
Oh, that sounds like fun!
Choose to be weird. Choose oodles of fun, adventure, and excitement.
Family adventure!
Choose to be awesome.
Ooh!
To be out there.
Y'all ready to get your trick-or-treat on?
And to laugh your socks off. It's your moment to choose time with the kids. To choose joy. To choose DSTV.
I visited COSTEF recently and checked out the visual arts students and spoke to their trainer. Just look at the youth of tomorrow. Sam Amufitu heads up the Visual Arts Department and spoke to me about the importance of art in our country.
When it comes to opportunities, like for us, we are the foundation. So we give them the basic skills that at the end of the day, they will get away with a level 2 certificate. And the level 2 is now mostly the beginning intake for College of the Arts. So they can go and further their studies at College of the Arts, where they can get now a level 5 diploma. And from there, they can still continue now with a higher diploma or a degree at university, Chunam. So other than that, they can also start already, with their trades, whereby one can be a printer, doing textile printing, becoming a full-time visual artist, as a painter, a sketch artist, or a performance artist, or installations. Depends also on their concepts, on what they actually want to, or what message they want to portray out there. And they can also create exhibitions. And as arts and craft, we can always help them to, to organize in terms of supporting them maybe with materials at some point, and also to find them sponsorships at some point. Personally, I do believe that visual arts itself is an investment into yourself, because I believe that this is the skills that do not expire. So most of the job that most of the people that are mostly after or let me say a lot of careers that a lot of people are after, they have expiring date, whereby mostly you are only allowed to perform those tasks until you reach age of 60. And then from there, if you are unemployed, then you have nothing to do with those skills that you have obtained from universities, rather than just be, it's good to have a lot of knowledge, but in terms of being productive, it might be a little bit of a challenge. But you as a visual arts, you can always, be at home and try to be more creative by using whatever that is around you. So with these skills, during the time when you're at home, you can have your own studio at home, and, you can use any materials like recycling, plastics. This is one of the biggest things that is happening nowadays, for us trying to create that awareness of global warming. So you can be an artist that uses different sort of materials, as I said, plastic, tires, and any of the materials that does not decompose that, but rather than destroy our earth on a sustainable way.
Many youths just chasing the guap and ignoring the arts. I asked Sam how important it is for students to pursue this career.
Well, on one side, I can say that art it's a very broad term. So I define it as the study of universe. So in mankind, everything that exists that was man-made, it's called arts. So you first have to design. And how do you come up with designing? You have to visualize. And by visualizing, you have to put it, to solidify the concepts, and with the assistance of any medium that you want to use. So it can be music, can be body language, can be now painting, can be sculpting, can be anything. So there's different ways of expressing yourself. So with art, I believe that it's very important, because then it allows us to become more creative, and also to start thinking out of the box, and to find different solutions to different problems that many people cannot solve. Maybe the only thing that I will suggest is to have art as a very serious subjects in schools. It should be taken very serious, especially in our country, our small developing country. We have a lot of creative people in this country, and most of them, they actually want to find different means of expressing themselves, and also to benefit something out of it, like to also make a living out of it, because not everyone was meant for technical and academic sort of school. So most of it, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with arts.
I also spoke to some of the students who seem to be thriving in this class.
The reason why I chose this course is because I have a thing for computers, and I usually fidgeted around with things, and I read there was something called graphics design. So I went in depth with it and looked at it, and then I saw I could study it here. So then I decided, okay, let me go try it out. I think it's great, especially for people who are not a fan of schoolwork and like things like academics and math. No one wants to, like, office jobs. No one likes office jobs. I think it's very good, especially for young people, because us young, we're still developing and stuff. So like things like this is also nice, especially like taking leap year or something. Then you can do this.
Art speaks to me. I find my thoughts to be at peace and tranquil once I paint. My ideas that always run through my mind, when I put it on paper, then it helps me calm down, and it's my way of expressing how I feel and think. What I've learned in graphic design is that I can get to be more versatile with the mediums that I use, learn how to communicate with people, because in graphic design you need to learn how to communicate. And so with photography as well, it really brought out that spectrum of visualizing the landscape and the people and everything. So what I'm going to do with graphic design in the future is that it's just a versatility on my belt. Like, use different mediums and see which one fits me or not, because honestly, as a young artist, you'll find your style only later in life. So I'm trying to find my style, and so this whole experience is getting me to learn to find myself with art. People that are struggling when it comes to their mind, I find it that art can help with that, because it cannot just be always academics. Like, you need that, the soul, the food of the soul, if I can say, where art entertains us, it brings people together, and from a person such as myself, I'm calling out for people who are similar like me, who struggle with the mind. So it's honestly the best way to let out your feelings and expressions. So people who struggle to speak out, basically.
And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching.
Connect in style with O Smartphone, Namibia's most affordable 4G handset. Enjoy high-speed connectivity to music, videos, and social media. Experience life on the 4G fast lane when you swap your 2G or 3G SIM for a free 4G SIM. Get it all for only $4.99 Namibian dollars, and you can make the connection with MTC.
Namibia will conduct the 4th Population and Housing Census in August 2022. To find out more, tune into the television broadcast of the 5th Conversations with the NSA show on Tuesday the 21st of December at 8 p.m. and the repeat broadcast on Sunday the 26th of December at 7 p.m. The Population and Housing Census 2021. Play your part. Be counted.
The COSDEF annual Christmas market took place in Swakopmund recently and was a fun-filled affair with entrepreneurs and musicians showing off their skills.
We are having our annual Christmas market. We do this every year at the beginning of December, where we sell a whole load of exciting, fun, beautiful, stunning crafts, all handmade Namibian, purely Namibian. And then, of course, we also have performances by local musicians. Living and Janelle Witter will be joining us. And then our Unity craft shop, selling, supporting crafters from all over Namibia, also having a fantastic big sale. So this is a perfect opportunity for your Christmas shopping, or even Christmas decorations.
Showcase some of the products that are being made for Namibia.
I'm a designer and I'm doing the product development and developing products with the groups and also the marketing and also training. So it's a very interesting and versatile project. And I'm working with 10 groups in Namibia. And one of the groups, for example, we just developed bags. I don't know, can you see them here? And yeah, that's what we do. We try to develop new and fresh things where we combine techniques, and then all this is for income generation, that our crafters in Namibia and the groups we are working with will have a higher income. And I think you heard from Afas already, we do costing and pricing. We try to bring the crafters into running their own businesses, but at the moment they are still under our umbrella, and it's very interesting to see them grow, and I'm very happy to be part of that project and working together with the team.
Karel Petrus Schikkeling showed off some of the fabulous artworks that he's been creating, and he's also just recently moved to Swakopmund.
I am from Namibia. I grew up in the Kommershoogland on a farm outside of Windhoek. You can see here at the back. And I am most comfortable in painting with acrylic paint specifically. My work is really colorful, and I decided to be a little bit more colorful because, especially living in a world like we do today, life can be so sad, and I want people to look at my work and immediately feel joy. I want them to have a smile in their face and in their heart. And yeah, I paint Namibian landmarks, Namibian architecture, anything that you can resonate with. I know a lot of us visit these places that I painted, and we might have memories about it, and I thought that can be a connection, and then you might be interested in buying.
Afas Mbura is the leathercraft and design trainer at COSDEF.
Today we are selling the leather goodies here that you can see here. Sandals, bags, wallets, things that was done by the student. Some are 2 years ago and some are this year's student. And it's quite good things. It has been quite a long time now. And we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of training.